What's up, everybody? Hey, an agency that can go from zero to $172,000 in monthly revenue in as little as 7 or 8 months has probably figured out something that you might not have yet. In this video, Trevor and Josh give a tell-all to all of our agency owners in our group, a tell-all about how they did it. They answer the questions like, how do I get my first couple customers? How do I hire a BDR? How do I close? So much gold in this video. I can't tell you, I'm bursting at the seams. Now, if you're new to this channel, like, subscribe, become a member, because this is the type of content that we're pushing out both on this channel, in our classes, and in our Facebook group. And we'd love to help you if that's what you want, if you're interested in that kind of thing. So enjoy, because these guys, again, they go off for an hour answering all of the questions that you have been struggling to learn. I know that myself, as an agency owner, I learned things after 8 years that I never knew. So tune in, enjoy, and we'll see you on the next video.
Trevor did not just show up overnight. His lineage traces back to the depths of the Hormozy. So he was a gym launch guy. His partners, Justin and Josh, both gym launch guys. And so they are juggernauts in sales, like juggernauts. And personally, I've got my pitch deck in Lead Gen U. I have sold a lot of customers myself, but one thing that people don't maybe understand is knowing how to sell yourself and then being able to duplicate and build a sales team are completely different. I have never built a sales team, so I don't have the answers that Trevor has. So anyway, I'm excited to have Trevor on. I'm excited to be able to ask Trevor questions whenever I want to, because I can and I do. But that is the backdrop. Trevor, thanks for coming, buddy. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Excuse my voice. I am sick. I was up like all night last night, but I couldn't miss this. So I'm excited to jump on and get after it.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man. All right, we're going to open it up. Adam, you got the first question. You guys raise your hand or type in the chat, and I will we'll go from there. Adam, you're up, buddy. Unless your hand is still residual.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna ask. You hear me?
Yeah, you got it, buddy.
All right. Yeah. So tell me more about your onboarding. We brought on like 15 new people. I've told you as well. We hired a new onboarding guy, and I'm just curious. That's really what I'm focusing on this next week or two, is how to not lose these clients that we brought on. So yeah, any tips you have like on your onboarding? I think you told me you have like one person that handles everything for onboarding.
So we have, so the way that our team is structured on the client support side of things, we kind of have two branches. So we have a client success director, and then she manages our CAS, at client account specialist, and then also our tech team. We've had multiple iterations on this. And I can tell you, like, when we first started, we screwed up a ton. Like, we were signing too many people and we weren't staffed to handle that. And so we made a lot of mistakes in this. I feel like we're really getting a grasp on like what that looks like. But essentially what happens is somebody comes in, they sign up, they get scheduled with a tech onboarding call. And so we actually use, like, we have overseas VAs for the tech onboarding. Before that, they do get a little phone call from a CAS who's American based, like, hey, like, saw you sign up for Grow Local. I'm so excited, like, to get you started. I just want to confirm your appointment with your tech onboarding. So tech onboarding is literally that. It's getting their tech set up, getting their Facebook connected, integrations, making sure they're picked for our niche specifically. They have like in-person consultations, or they have over the phone consultations. So just like making sure all these workflows are set up the way that they need to be. And then they pass them on to a CAS. And then we have two versions of a CAS. We have a done for you CAS, and we have a DIY CAS. We just started implementing done for you probably a couple of months ago. If they meet with that person, then that's their person going forward. And they just help them launch the ad, show them how that's done, and then just set up the cadence of like how to get to support and all of that fun stuff. If they're DIY, then they do have a CAS, but we call it like a behind the scenes CAS. They don't actually reach out to a customer. They're just like checking, are their ads live, things like that. So sign up to a 5-minute phone call, to an onboarding call, or tech onboarding, to a CAS call, and then they're launching. Sometimes they launch within 2 to 3 days of signing up. Our goal is to get them going as quick as possible. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Do you Do you have any, the clients do anything before that tech call? Like, do you have any automated onboarding you try to have them do beforehand?
Yeah, so we did that. We used to have one call onboardings. And this is what we found is people like typically mess things up more than they actually help themselves when they're like going into a new system. So for us, it's been better for like, hey, don't worry about anything. Show up to your tech onboarding call. We got everything handled for you. Because also the frustration piece, if they go try to connect Facebook and they have an account disabled issue, and then now they're raging because they think we did it, and it's just a whole issue. So we just like make sure we're on the call with them during that process.
Nice. Do you know what your churn rate is right now?
Yes, it is 14%.
Nice. I'm like, hey, anything under 20%, I'm good. That's at least from
Yeah.
what
we fluctuated. So it's coming back down. The way that we just like real quick is we do typically 3-month contracts. And so once our first like screw ups happened of like just not managing accounts well, that increased our churn rate significantly. Our goal is to be around the 10 to 14% like range long term.
Nice.
Yep.
How do you sell those? Sorry, last I'm jumping in. How do you sell 3-month contracts? And shoot, what was I going to say? You're selling that, so you bill it every quarter?
Quarterly, yep.
And you set that up in Stripe or?
Yeah, it's all like if you go to subscriptions, you can do bill by quarter or every 3 months, and then it'll auto bill on that.
Is that set up like in the beginning, or do you have it? Because like I'm on the agency SaaS plan, in order for it to be all automated, right? Like you can't really set up quarterly billing.
We don't use Highlevel for that.
Okay.
So our salespeople literally they take payment on the phone call through a link for our Stripe, and then our tech onboarding before, like we have a notification that goes into our Slack account that's like, hey, this person just signed up, and they prepare all of that, like get them on SaaS.
Okay.
And things like that. So we do that manually, just because they don't have enough options on that. And we really like the 3-month PIF. So
that makes sense. Is that tech person doing the A2P as well now? The tech integrator person?
Yeah. So we've been going hard on that because I mean we have 200 plus accounts of people that had to get that done. So our tech people are responsible for like getting all that done. We're trying to figure it out right now, just honestly, of like what that's going to look like. I think we're probably going to go toll free first while we A2P them, and then once A2P is good, then we'll move from the toll free. We've had a couple of people today. Yeah, we've had a couple of people today that like freaked out. And we're like, dude, we've messaged you 40 times over the last month, literally. Like, there's no reason. So we just put them on the toll free and actually worked fine. So that's what we're going to handle. That's how we're going to handle it going forward.
Awesome. I'll stop hogging the questions, but thanks, man.
Adam's crushing it too. Adam's crushing it too, by the way. We'll have Adam do one of these because I think everybody has a different perspective on how they're growing their agency, and he's doing a good job right now too. So let's see here. Who had their hand up next?
My question is, what specifically are you asking on discovery calls to qualify them for the next sales call? Because I have my set of questions and stuff like that, but yeah, I'd like to hear what you're asking. And also, like how long is your guys' discovery call?
So I know the discovery calls, I'm looking and see if I can pull it up at this fast, but I don't know if I'm going to pull up the exact questions, but I can give you a rough idea of what that looks like. So our calls are anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes on our discovery calls. We've recently been like, and Josh is my business partner, he posted about this today. We've actually completely taken off the self-schedule appointment on in our like funnel. So it goes to this page, it has our testimonials and a video of like, hey, if you want to work with us, you got to answer the call from this number. And whenever we do that, we're calling them, and now we're going to ask them questions that qualify. It's hard for us. I mean, it's going to be very industry specific. So we work in med spa wellness clinics. And so in ours, it's like, how many clients do you currently have right now? What have you tried in the past for marketing? What things have worked for you in marketing? What things have not worked for you in marketing? How many clients are you looking to take on? Business, website, what else? Let me see if I can just like super quickly.
It's basically just a brief questionnaire to kind of figure out what they're really doing inside their own business.
It's to give the goal of it is to like the BDR is like kind of they give us ammunition for the sales call. And so like inside of Highlevel, whenever a BDR actually takes a phone call, I'm not gonna be able to find one while I'm doing this, but whenever somebody takes a phone call, they're putting tons of notes on this person, their website, how long they've been open, how many patients they have, how much money they've spent on ads, like all this different information. So whenever a BC or consultants get on a call, they're locked and loaded with ammunition. So if I were thinking about how to do this for any niche, I would say, what do we want a qualified person to look like for your company? Because you don't want everyone. Maybe you do. I don't want everybody that can breathe to come to our funnel. And then 2 is, what type of ammunition do you need for your sales call that you can get on that, so you come feeling prepared? Because I think people like it when we're like, hey, like, we've checked out your website, we know you're doing this. Like, they just feel like they're heard because they were put through that process really smoothly. So that would be my recommendation. Just think about the industry specific needs, and then make sure that you're qualifying people to work with you.
Now you said, okay, that's good. Thank you. That you said, just a quick follow up on that one. You said, you're not having them book any appointments for the calls anymore. You're just reaching out to them as soon as a lead comes in, correct?
Yeah. So we call within 5 minutes, really within like 2.
Okay. And there's my answer.
Yeah. And we do, like, what we've found since doing this is a lot of people will actually go to our website directly. So they'll leave that page, they'll go to growlocaldigital.com, they'll go schedule on their own, but those people have such a high show rate because, like, they went through that whole trouble of, like, went from Facebook ad, now they physically typed in our URL and then went to our website and then booked. And so if somebody is willing to do all that, like, cool, like, we're happy to let them self-book, but through our funnel process on paid ads, we're not letting them do that.
Yeah. It's just such a different approach. Cause like when I was doing discovery calls, like under agency, I was dealing with more, just not as lukewarm people. And it's like my discovery calls were like 30 to 45 minutes versus, like, since these people are responding to an ad, now you can go, hey, question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. And it's a volume game too. Like, we spend a lot on ads. So we have so many leads coming in that it's just like, it's worth, just like, if they don't fit in these criteria, then they're probably not worth talking to.
I think that's a big thing too. I mean, Alex, in his recent course, I haven't got the book yet, but he talks about identifying your top 20%. I actually did this recently, like this last week. I looked at our top 20% of agency clients, and I learned stuff that I intuitively made sense, but we weren't disqualifying people for before, and we do now. Because I'm like, hey, I mean, there's no point in getting a customer if the likelihood of churn is going, if you're going to sell them and they're going to churn, like, why do it in the first place? So yeah, I think that's part of, by the way, also part of making the sales conversion process that much better, because 1, by telling them that we don't take everybody, that makes them want it more. And then 2, it makes the value that you're able to create for them more real, because, hey, I mean, for example, if somebody's a straight chiropractor in our agency, we can't help them as much as if they offer spinal decompression and knee decompression and these niche things. So, hey, if you don't have one of these, sorry, we can't work with you. If you're straight chiropractic, we don't work with them. So yeah, unfortunately, that's that. So
yeah, and I would say a little caveat on the whole idea of not having a schedule page. I probably would not do that unless you have an actual team of BDRs that's like, they're getting trained daily and you have the systems to handle that. Because if you're getting 20 plus leads a day, it becomes extremely wasteful if you're not on top of that. So like my recommendation, until literally now, this month, we've allowed people to book demos and then we would qualify them. So I'm not saying that is where you should start, like where we are now. It may be better while you don't have those callers, because if you don't have callers, you're not going to win in
so
that game.
Maybe walk through that, Trevor. Like, what was your so your mechanism today, because you're getting, I mean, you did 170 grand in revenue. That means you can spend a boatload on ads.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys can't spend a boatload on that. So like when you were doing the 2040, what was your funnel looking like then?
Yeah. So we had a 14-day trial that was what we originally started. It was a free 14-day trial that led to a demo page where they could actually schedule. We were spending, like when we first started this, we were spending $50 to $75 per day. And then we just incrementally scaled. In my opinion, the reason we were able to win in the paid ads game is because we weren't trying to be like that 97 a month, 297 a month, 397 a month. Like we straight up said, we're doing quarterly payments. And that changed everything for us because you have to have cash flow to fund your ads. And if you don't, then you're going to feel like you're bleeding, even if long-term it still can make you money. Like the reality is like none of us are actual SaaS owners. Like we don't have $100 million in VC funding that we can just blow on ads. And so it's like we have to be creative. And that was our way of being creative, was doing that so that we could take that money, spend it back into ads, and it allowed us to scale faster. So I think paid ads are incredible. We also use just like, these are longer conversations. I'm happy to answer more on it, but FlowChat is like an organic piece that like you can go into groups, pull everybody from that group, message them. So we have that going. We've always had that going. We've had cold outreach going since the beginning. And then like I feel like one of our secrets, not secrets, but like something that's kind of unique is like we go and speak at industry events, which is kind of weird. But like we'll just like show up at like a med spa event and speak, and then people are like I think we had 40 signups from one med spa event. But even more than that, it's like we've created connections in the industry that have really helped us grow with like franchising and stuff. So that's a random. But all of those things we have in play now. If you want to go fast, use paid ads. If you just want to take if you are willing to go slower and you're okay with going slower, then I would start with like the flow chat organic type funnel, which is really pushing into messenger to demo to sell.
So I'll piggyback off of that real quick, and then we'll go to Mark's question. You guys did a Genie pitch deck. That pitch deck can be used in public speaking things. And I know because I'm using it. I have a company called ErgoFlex, and I spoke at their thing last year, and I did like kind of like a webinar. And I wasn't going to go back this year, but the guy called me. He's like, "Hey, can you come back?" I'm like, "Well, sure." I mean, they're great people. So I'm like, "Yeah, I'll come back." So I'm going back to do that. I'm just going to do, I don't have time to be creating another webinar or anything like that. And I don't want to give the same one. So I'm just going to give the Genie pitch deck. I'll do that. But then I told him, I said, I'll come and I'll do this presentation. But what I want to do is have you guys promote me a webinar after that event. That way, because last time I did it, I got some clients, but it wasn't like super attractive because it was a small group. And so if you can borrow somebody's group, dude, that is the linchpin to printing money. You come in, these guys have gotten me 35 customers in one webinar before, right? And so I'm like, okay, sweet. What we have going today is way better than what it was doing back when we did our first webinar with you guys. If you agree to do one if I come down, spend money on my dime to come, will you promote a webinar for me? Sure, let's do it. Sweet. You know, we'll get 30, 40 customers from that easy. So
yeah, we just had one last week, and I think we did like 10K from that. And then last thing, we do have referrals. Like we get a lot of referrals, which that's just a game that you have to build up your clientele. But all of that starts compounding, which is why when it's coming to like to get your front end going is so important, because all that stuff starts compounding on the back end. I think over the last 6 months, we've done like 130K in just like referrals from our clients. Which helps. I mean, it's free.
The front end thing. So Mark, I'll get to you, buddy. The front end thing, you guys were doing a 14-day free trial, then to effectively like you did you say a demo? What was?
Yeah. Okay. So this is how it worked for us. Maybe other industries are different, but somebody would come in, they would say, like we would say, hey, we're running a 14-day trial. That's going to be our intro. But then we would pitch them on a price that was discounted quarterly if they just got signed up that day. So we actually very rarely, like I think we probably had 20 free trials in our whole time doing this, and we've signed up 600 plus people. But that would just kind of be our hook. So the demo would be like they would see our ad, it's 14-day free trial, whatever the ad copy was, that would go to a lead form. Lead form would go to a schedule page. They would schedule, they would get on with us, and then we would just close them on the quarterly.
So the ad, the hook on the ad, or the hook on the email, or a hook on the text, or the hook on the whatever the hook is, the initial hook was 14 days free. They would get on the demo call. You would demo it, and then you pitch the price, and you wouldn't even have to offer the 14-day demo because they just wanted the price.
Yeah, and we always would, because like just from a like bait and switch, like we weren't trying to do that. Like if they wanted the free trial, there would be no questions asked. Like, yeah, of course, like we'll get you signed up for a 14-day trial. We had around a 40 to 50% conversion on free trial. Could have probably could have been better. We just didn't pay enough attention to it, honestly. We don't market 14-day trial at all anymore. Just because I don't know.
But it's good to know, like, you got to get some kind of client base. You know, you got to get some revenue. You got to crawl before you walk. And so I think, like, them having a blueprint of where you started, and you might do something different today, but that's because you know more.
Yeah. And about our specific industry. So it's like we've switched things, not because of every agency should. We've switched things because our niche has told us that.
Yeah. All right, Mark, it's your turn, buddy. Thanks for being patient.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you guys. This is awesome. Trevor, question for you. So are all of your users UpHex / Highlevel users?
So we have, so yes, they all are. We do have a done for you and done, like, do it yourself. Again, the done for you has come, like, we broke $1 million run rate before we ever offered anything else. And people ask me a lot about that, of like, for us, we so narrowed down. We had literally one offer. It was like, it is $14.97 per quarter or $5.97 per month. We would always pitch $14.97, drop to $5.97 after that. But we only did that for a long time. And so all those people were like DIY. We added DFY because we just have clientele now that are like, they don't want to do anything and they have money. Like, they're doing 50, 60K a month. So like, yeah, we'll just pay you a couple grand to handle everything. And so we're happy to do that. But at first we didn't even try to be that person, which helped us go faster.
Okay. So on your DIY users then, do you guys teach them how to, like, go into Canva and create your own ad templates and, you know, that kind of thing, or no? Or is it more like, I mean, how do you teach someone if say if they go into, you know, their ad library in their sub account and they don't like any of the ads there or the offers there, how do you handle that?
Yeah. So I've always been like confident for my abilities to run ads. And so like, it was when I was the one running everything, like, it was easy for me to be like, just listen to me. But that is kind of the way that we take, like, if you don't want to run our ads, then you just don't work with us. Like, we have, at this point, like, we've spent over $1 million on ad spend this year on these specific ads that we're telling you to run. And we're getting the, like, cost per, like, we already know the data. Like, I don't need Dr. So-and-so to tell me what works and what doesn't. And so we actually take hardcore that front. And it works because people, I think there's a part of people that, like, they want something, but the other part is, like, they also want to know you're the expert. And so, like, if you tell them that you're the expert in it and that like, you're doing this for a reason and it's because it's going to help their business grow, then people respect that. Some people will be all mad and like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, okay, then go pay an agency $2,500 a month to put your logo on a picture that I just showed you. That's the way that we take it.
Let me jump in here real quick. I think, like, this is potentially an idea. I don't know where it came from. An idea that if you ever let a client run their ads, if I have in my 8 years, and I have done this, by the way, clients come in, hey, I don't like that offer. I want to do this offer instead. They totally neuter your offer because they're like, I don't want to offer. That's giving away too much. Not one time in 8 years, thousands of campaigns, not one time has that ever worked, right? The reason, and that was why one of the features, and this was Jacob's idea, by the way, was template metrics, because we, like, in order to get the kind of, so in marketing, we call it a control, right? A marketing control. If you can beat that number, beat it.
Yeah.
Right. But it's the 40-40-20. You guys know the 40-40-20 rule? 40%. So in advertising, 40% of your success comes from your targeting. 40% comes from your offer. 20% comes from the ad copy. Everybody thinks that, oh, if you write really fancy, then that's what does it. That's bullshit. If you don't have an offer, first of all, UpHex and what we're doing for local lead generation, the targeting is not even 40% because it is, but it's a foregone conclusion. You're going to get the deliveries, the impressions you want. You're going to get them. But when they see it, are they going to see something that came out of the brain of a skilled marketer like you, Mark, or that came out of one of your stupid clients' heads that's like, well, our core service is this. We don't want to discount it that much. It's like, dude, you don't understand what a lead magnet is. You don't understand what a trial close is. You don't know these things. If your business had to thrive on only selling your upfront thing to more people, you would be dead. That's why they pay you. They pay you to advance as much attention as possible. And that must be done through proven advertising, right?
Yeah.
My last thing, I'll say this, but my last thing is my favorite copywriter ever was a guy named Gary Bencivenga. Okay. And he would get up, and old school copywriters, you know what they would do? They would find a marketing control, and they'd be like, okay, right now this makes this much money. And if they could beat it, they would charge a royalty. Okay. And then you know what they would do? They would make their own marketing control, and then they would do what? License it. Like in one of his videos, he said, I went to a dentist. We created this direct mail piece. It worked. So guess what he did? He licensed it to 5,000 dentists. The game we're playing is creating something once and selling it over and over and over again. The second you change the thing that you created the one time is the second it no longer is worth anything. So clients don't understand that. And for me, I really we harp on proven library of ads. These work, just proven results, and if they ask, it's like, yeah, I understand it, but if you change it, the formula breaks.
Yeah, I actually, last thing on this too is like, I have a story in December of last year when we really first started doing this. There was a lady, she came, she signed with us, and like a weekend, she was like, why am I paying you guys? Like, all that I get to do is go click on these ads and like launch them. And I was like, yeah, it's because you're paying us for our expertise and understanding like what to write, offer stuff, like do things like that. And she was like, I think I could just do this on my own. So I gave her $200. I PayPal'd her. I said, I'm going to give you this $200. You can spend it on alcohol. You can do whatever you want with it. But my recommendation is go try to compete against us. And if you get a lower cost per lead, then you're good. But if not, then like we'll see you. And she's literally still a client today, and we joke about it all the time because like I think when I put it in her course, she was like, I understand now that like they're not able to actually create the offers, because if they could, like, why would they hire someone? That'd be stupid.
So in UpHex, what we tried to do is democratize the technical. All right. And while we give you templates, those templates must be sub-niched, must be modified, right? But when you get a library of your own ads that generate leads at a price point and are predictable, you guys, you're bulletproof. Like, you have something that every agency that's doing the high level model and they're not doing lead generation, they're just doing whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But you have a step up on them like crazy. Like, you have the sizzle. They may have the steak, like the boring, well, the steak's delicious, let's be honest.
Yeah,
but the thing that brings in all of the attention, you got the sizzle. So, and Mark, you posted in the group, that was your post yesterday, right?
Yep.
Those Facebook reps are some of the most dumb people
Yeah.
that I have ever met. Like, they don't know anything about anything.
Terrible.
So, you might try Trevor's approach and be like, hey, after that ad campaign doesn't work, I'm going to, let me know, give her some kind of offer. But all right. Next was Brian. What's up, Brian?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for running this call. It's awesome. I have a couple miscellaneous questions. We'll see. The first one I have for Trevor's regarding like your ads. What's the initial, you said you stopped pitching like a trial run nowadays. And I know you guys are doing a ton of ad spend. You spend like $500 a day, you said. Like, what's your initial pitch that actually gets people interested? Are you pitching like to get them away from agencies, or like what's your offer that's kind of getting them to sign up and, agree to that initial call for your business development reps?
Yeah. So let me pull. Do you guys know how to use pay transparency?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to, just go check out our stuff. But we run basically like we can launch our ads in 3 clicks, fire your agency. We've helped over 300 Mets balls in this. We have a couple of like hooks that we go for, but a lot of it's like how to use our new AI technology to get rid of your agency is kind of our pitch, and for a more affordable rate.
For sure.
I'm looking at some of them now. That's like the main things that we do. When we run testimonial ads, and then we run like Justin, business partner, he does a lot of our content. And he does a lot of like, just like the almost Hermosi style pitches in our ad copy as well.
Okay, awesome. Also shout out to Josh, because like that video, I don't know, I didn't understand why the thing was up for 11 hours in the group and I was the first one to comment. That video was awesome of him going through that spreadsheet. That shit was it was great.
Facebook groups are funny because Josh is newer to the group. And so I think like, and that's why he posted again today. I don't know if you guys saw it. And it was about their BDR process. And he's willing. So him and Trevor, obviously partners, and they're very open kimono. And like, he's got some stuff, but we got to get reach, like penetration into the group, right? We can't just have awesome stuff like Josh's post, like you said, be posted in the group and just have it kind of like fly by. So it's like, no, engage, like tag people, like it, share it, because that's what will give it, that's what will make it penetrate the group. So you guys, whenever you see that kind of stuff, engage with it in some way so we can get the reach out to more people. Brian, your next question.
So regarding the BDRs, and I know Josh said he can do like a call about this generally, but you said you train them like every day. What are you using to train them? Like, did you have some course from some person that's like awesome that you suggest, or like, what are you getting them that they're doing that? Because in my experience, a lot of times BDRs try to be closers when that's not what we want them to do. We want them just to kind of like make it a softball pitch to the closers. So I was curious about that part.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, are you on?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Josh is here.
Yo,
jump
sweet.
in.
All right. Yeah, you were asking how do we train them?
Yeah, like what's your like training process for the BDRs to like make sure that they do exactly what they're supposed to do rather than trying to go like above and beyond, or doing stuff that they're not really like in their wheelhouse.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I will make a video too to like go more in depth on like the resources we have for this. But the first thing that we did is we put a BDR lead in place. So this was like a BDR manager. So first I personally trained her, we got her up to speed, and then now she was the one that's actually onboarding and training. So the first one's the onboarding process. So we go through interview process. The first one is like general interview questions. The second interview though was more of like, we go deep dive into what the roles and responsibilities actually look like. So I'm not sure if you guys know, but there's something called a 4R sheet. Got this from Alex Hermosi's wife, Layla. And so it's roles, responsibilities, results, and requirements. And so before you even hire them, you want them crystal clear on what those roles and responsibilities are. So that way they know that. And so they know what the expectations are. They know what the goals that we're looking to hit are. And so that way they know where they need to be focused. And then our onboarding process actually only takes us about a week for a BDR. So actually a little bit less. So for example, we just hired a BDR this Monday. She just put up 2 bookings today, her first 2 bookings. So you can get them onboarded pretty fast as long as you have it structured.
Yeah.
The first thing I would say is you want to have a 4Rs document. So make sure those roles and responsibilities are crystal clear. And their onboarding process needs to be very clear. So we put together, and I can even share this in my post when I make it, but we have a document called an onboarding doc. And so it outlines exactly day to day, exactly what they're doing for their first week. And so on that document, we have every single training they're going to go through. And now if you're, what you don't want though, is you can do a video resource section, like you can do video training. But what I kind of feel like, if your business is doing under 7 figs, you want a lot of that training to be in person, right? So you will have to invest a little bit of time for that first week, but you would just go day by day. Hey, this is what we're doing. And so first day is usually just all about how to use the system, how to use Highlevel, how to make calls, how to set up your accounts, all of those things usually day 1. And then day 2, we actually have them watch recordings of other BDRs. So that way they know, hey, this is what a call should look like. This is what success looks like here. And then we have them watch our sales calls as well, so they know what the business consultants do and what their role, the business consultants' role are. So that way they're not kind of, stepping over and trying to do the business consultants' work. So hopefully that answers your question, but it's really being very specific on roles and responsibilities, and then having a very, very outlined first week of onboarding. And then from there, they're usually pretty good to go.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
The outcome piece is a big deal. It's like, if your outcome isn't defined, then maybe they think going into a sales pitch is a part of like what a success is for them, versus like, if they're very clear to find out like what is success for me, like what is the purpose of this, the qualified person to book on our calendar for a PC, then that's their endpoint versus like giving them flexibility to push that. You don't want to do that. So just being super clear on what every role in your company looks like when it's winning has helped us
Yeah,
a
for
ton.
sure.
And then also, like you heard Josh, like it takes us a week to onboard. Like one thing you'll know about us and learn about us is like we just move fast, and it's like we'll throw people into the fire, but we'll hold their hand in that fire, because I think that's a really good way to learn. It's like we're not just going to let them sink, but they are going to get put into a situation where they're learning very quickly, because that's how that's just how we've been able to build.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and if you do it that way, it's cool because Trevor actually brought this to my attention. We've only lost one BDR in the last 7 months, and this was someone who was young. They got hired, and they just like one day didn't show up for work, and then we never heard from them again. So it was just like a weird situation. But if you make it, usually BDR is a very high turnover role, and it can be very hard to like keep a good one. But so far we've been able to see really good performance. Sometimes people have a dip, but then you need to make sure you're training them. And the last thing I would add into there is something that we do as well with our BDRs is weekly. When you first hire someone, weekly one-on-ones. So every single week they should be having a one-on-one with you. And then after about 60 to 90 days, you can move that to bi-weekly to get some of your time back. But you definitely want to make sure you have one-on-ones happening as well, because that way you can continue to review, assess, pour into them, help grow them. And the next, you have a BDR that's sticking around, not leaving after a couple months.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks,
Well,
Brian.
appreciate
All right,
that.
we'll do Jordan, and then Jeremy, and then Adam.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I started with one question, and then as you keep talking, it's like so many other questions are coming to mind. But I wanted to circle back really quick to almost like saying you want more quality over quantity of people. And that's exactly kind of what we're looking for as clients as well. My question was, as we're folding in UpHex, is do you ask the question or must have X amount of dollars for ad spend, right? Like we're looking for a certain type of client who's willing to like invest their money on their ads, or what that looks like.
Yeah, so Mike, the answer to that is kind of two-piece, because like we've just gotten to more of the qualification. Just being honest, like when we first started, our goal was to prove this model, like this thing could work. And so we just didn't have, like, I don't think we had any parameters on who could sign. They had to own a med spa. Like that was basically what our parameters were, because there's so much learning that you get when you have people on your platform. I think long-term it can bite you, because it's like these people aren't the most qualified people, but it helped us learn significantly faster. So if I was under like 20K a month, I would probably just like, if I were to restart, I would do what I did. Like I would just have the floodgates open as long as they were in my niche, and just work with them and learn and learn and learn. If you're above that though, I do think there is that element of like, hey, can you spend like our higher level, like done for you, it's like you have to spend $50 a day to be in this program, because if not, it's not worth it. And we're not going to like take you if you're not going to do that. We do have on our sales call though, we say $32 a day, 33, it's $1,000 a month is kind of what we tell them on the sales call.
Okay.
Can I piggyback on that real quick and maybe add another layer? So I don't say up front, Jordan, I don't say, hey, how much money do you make or anything like that, but I infer it. So I say, how many new patients in my niche, I'm like, how many new patients do you currently get a month? Okay, how are you getting them? What services are you promoting? And what I'm looking for is, one, can I put them into my best templates, right? I have chiropractic templates, but if they only have chiropractic, I don't take them. Okay, because in my particular niche, chiropractic, like there's too many people that offer like just the LTV is not good. So if they have one of those specialties, then I'm like, okay, green check mark number one. If they have over 20 if they're getting over 20 new patients per month, green check mark number two. Okay. And so that's what for me, I kind of qualify them, but I don't ask them directly. I want to make sure. And I think that's in the Genie pitch deck. I think I asked those questions in those 2 live calls I did. But then at the end, like if they have a question, I say, we don't take any, and I say it like this every single time. I say, we don't take anyone who can't spend at least $40 a day, because if they can't do that, then they're not really ready to advertise and grow their practice. And they should be doing other things, not this. So that's the way I position it when people are asking about minimum budget. And you'll find that the people that want to spend $5 to $10 a day, they're terrible customers.
Yeah. 5 to 10.
Totally.
Don't take those.
You want people reaching. And I have a slow onboarding video, which is on YouTube, by the way. And I go through, so I set the minimum. It's like, hey, it's $40 a day. But then when they do an onboarding, I want my onboarding person to say, all right, you know, the minimum is $40 a day, but that's the minimum. What do you want to get out of this? Like, where do you want to be? Because we can establish template metrics. Here we go again. Hey, if you want spinal decompression patients, we got $180,000 spent on this. They cost 18 bucks a pop. How many do we want? Right. This is our budget. It's easy math. Right. And so when you're logical about that, and you pair it up with their, you know, and this is them obviously now a customer, you're just going to get better expectations. They got people who pay attention. If you're going to grow, you got to market. You just want to feel, if you're the customer, you want to feel like you're spending it responsibly and that the person that's giving you the recommendation knows what they're doing.
Do you have any guidance? Because I'm trying to take everything y'all are saying and apply it to my clients. They're not businesses, like as in big, they have all this ad spend for, you know, their med spas or lawyers or anything like that, but they are individual advisors. So I'm trying to,
what's that mean?
They're not all created equal, whether they spend their own money on themselves as financial advisors, right? Like so they'll be coming in using, you know, UpHex and everything else. We have all
Like
their
life
templates.
insurance people, like financial advisors kind of people.
Yeah. So from an
work
individual
backwards.
perspective, yes.
So work
And so that's what I'm
backwards.
trying to go backwards here and almost like pre-qualify and also want them to be successful. So
Well,
yeah,
it's a
just
two-tier
trying to figure that
qualification.
out.
So for example, if I was working with financial advisors, I would be saying, okay, people who do life insurance and annuities, why would I do that?
Right.
Because they make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Okay. I would not be working with people who do, and I guess financial advisors, like do term, that do like some of these lower tier stuff. I would be, so that means that there's two things that you're focusing on. You're focusing on a more narrow sub niche, and you're focusing on what are the mechanisms that are going to get those leads into those people. Because if I pair up those people, then I win, right? If like, for example, like I would probably do a self-discovery offer if I were to do annuities, right?
Okay.
So annuities, what's better, the stock market or this annuity? Boom.
Right.
Go through this quiz. This will tell you what's better.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So something along those lines, but you got to pair up the outcome that you're going to make. And if you're working with broke people, like people that make no money on the things, you got to fix that. You can't do that. You can't build a business off of that.
Okay. I like that. Thank you. And then Trevor, I was going to circle back. Your first 1 million, you said with your offer of $597 a month or your quarterly. Did you say that was your DIY or that was your done for you?
That's DIY.
That was DIY.
Yeah, 597, 1497.
And that was them setting everything up. You guys just managing on the back end, or can you kind of explain what your done for you look like versus what the DIY was?
Yeah, so the done for you is going to have a CAS, which is like a kind of a coach that kind of keep track of their stats, make sure that they're good on a weekly basis. And then they have done for you actual, like people calling their leads and booking their leads. So that would be done for you. Yeah, DIY would be they're managing all of that. We do have 24, no, not 20, it's not 24/7. We have 8 to 8 like tech support. And so we'll help them set up new campaigns, all types of stuff like that. Like we'll just help them in whatever they need if they want to launch a new ad or whatever that is. But it is DIY on all the other fronts.
And now you're solely doing it that way?
We do both. So now we have, so when we started, it was straight up DIY. It was like we had a tech team or a support team, and we had our clients doing their thing. And we've just recently, over the last couple of months, added the done for you, which has been effective from a revenue standpoint. It helps you get more revenue. But I wouldn't go there until I had a solid DIY program. Because then people will start asking, when people start asking for it, it's like, maybe we should do this.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Jimmy, I think, right?
To me?
Yep.
Hey, Trevor, appreciate you.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I have a quick question. So I'm basically to the point. I think I finally got my ads dialed in that I'm filling up my calendar because I'm the only one selling right now. And so I'm to a point where I'm trying to figure out, is it time to bring on another person? It sounds like you've got BDRs and business consultants who would be your closers. What would you suggest for somebody who's basically filled up their sale calendar? How do I bring on the next person? Should I go straight to a sales guy, or what's your recommendation?
Yeah, so I'll tell you how we did it. And then maybe Josh can fill you in a little bit more on how we're doing it. So when I got to the point, because at the beginning I was right there, I was doing everything, and taking all the calls, and my calendar was just getting booked, and that obviously caused a bunch of issues because also doing like the customer support and everything like that. So it's just a lot. For us, we went straight for the big shot. Like we got Josh, we offered him equity, and we offered him a decent amount of money. At the time, money that we really couldn't afford. We didn't think we could afford, but obviously we were fine. To come over from what he was doing. And so whenever he did that, it was like, now we actually had a true sales director that could actually lead a team, build a team, scale a team. The path to paying for somebody that knows what they're doing, whether it's equity or whether it's a bigger salary, whatever that case is, paid off massively for us. So hiring people that don't have any experience in sales or anything like that, I think can be dangerous, because if they don't know, you're gonna have to teach them everything, and then that falls a lot on you, and you're also have a full calendar. So it's just really hard to manage that versus like trying to find somebody and risking it. To do that was the best decision I think we've made as a company, because sales is the most important piece to be able to scale. Now, what's cool though is like now Josh is actually not even in our sales director role. We've still been able to develop a team with another director, with another, like with more BCs and things like that. So it's repeatable, but you had to have that. We had to have that strong person to come in at the beginning. Josh, you can talk a little bit more on like what we currently do, like after you came in.
Yeah, was it Jeremy that asked this question or someone else?
Yeah, Jeremy.
Okay, perfect. Jeremy, do you track your stats right now?
Yes, I just saw your paper. I don't track them that detailed.
That's okay.
But
I was just curious right now. So like, for example, walk me through right now what it looks like from a sales perspective. You know, how many appointments are you typically getting per week right now?
So right now I'm getting about 5 a day, 4 to 5 a day. So that's, 25 or so a week. Of those, some of those are,
by the way.
yeah.
For a lot of people
Now
on
this is very
call,
soon. I mean, it just, the ad just sort of clicked in the last few
that's how
days.
it works,
So
by the way. That's how it works. Yep.
And so right now, and I think I saw something that you said earlier. So right now I'm still getting about maybe a 40% show up rate. So there's still a significant that aren't showing up. And so I feel like I saw something where you posted that you send them a message, then they have to confirm the appointment, or you cancel them off of the calendar anyway.
We do. So you're getting about 5 a day. You're getting about a 40% show rate. So you're seeing about, let's see,
in a week,
about 10. So about 10 a week. Yeah, sounds much better at math.
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay. And then how many are you closing out of those 10?
Right now it's about 30%, 20-30%.
Okay, so about 20-30%. So, and what's your offer?
It's the quarterly, basically. I do a discounted first time, so it's $597 for 3 months, and then it just goes month to month after that.
Okay, and then right now, so you're doing that, and then you're off. I'm assuming you're running everything else in your business as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a lot.
Are you doing the nurture for all these appointments as well?
It's all automated in Highlevel. So I'm not, most of it's all automated text messages going out and emails going out. So I'm not really manually calling. I'm not doing any of that manual stuff, which I'm sure could probably fill a hole in that bucket. But right now I'm just sort of, once they come in, if they don't go right to a demo call or they cancel or don't show, then it's sort of automated follow-up after that.
Makes sense completely. So then kind of the first steps, like I would, recommend, obviously you can do whatever, but like the first steps I would recommend is, first off, you've got to get that close percentage up, right? Because if you are going to hire someone, especially with the type of offer that we're doing, it's like what we've seen is like, you can have closers that can close 50% plus, especially, on the front end, like what we call a set call close. So like on that first call, you're probably going to see a closer close somewhere. You want them closing around 30%. But then when you add in follow-up calls and stuff like that, at the end of the day, you want to see it. For us, we're averaging about right now for the month, we're averaging a 65% close rate.
Okay.
You definitely just want that over 50%.
Okay.
And the reason you would want to have that there before you hire someone else is because it's really hard to set that expectation for a new person if you're not hitting it or you can't get them to do it. Because like Trevor was saying, like hiring a closer can be one of the most expensive people that you hire from an opportunity cost standpoint. A good example is we had one hire that, you know, we did our best to try and get her up to speed. She ended up actually being better in a different department in our company, but she was averaging around like a 30% close rate across the board. But if you have two other people closing at 65%, right, you can do the math on how much that costs the business. And
Right.
so I would highly recommend, and this is something else that, you know, we want to make a training on, is like, how do you get to 65%, right? How do you close at that rate consistently? But if you can get yourself there, and then you can, are you recording all of your calls too?
I am.
Okay, so I would make sure you're recording every single freaking call, because that's the best way to train a new person. And then once you get yourself above 50%, then the first thing I would probably recommend is that you hire a BDR.
Okay.
Right? Because if you go from 40% to 60%, you saw the numbers based off of that I put in the post today. That's going to skyrocket. Next thing you know,
And so at that
you're
point,
seeing
you're filtering out the lower quality leads, which frees up my calendar quite a bit.
exactly, because now we have
Okay.
two things. Now we have a system in place where we've proven we can close about 50%, and we have a system in place where we can get more than 50% of people to show. And if you have that, then now you can afford to hire someone. And even if they close at like 30% to start, which you should expect, it's not going to cost you that much money as a business. And then the other part too is like, you never want to hire someone that you can't feed, right? So you want to, because you want to be able to hire just straight, because we hired just straight. And this was such a saver for us, is that we were able to hire just straight 100% commissions only. But that's because we knew we had the flow. We knew we would have the amount of appointments that someone would need to still be able to make close to, you know, between 70 to 100K closing, $1,500 product, per year. I would definitely say, get the stats up where they need to be on the closing, right? Then get your show percentage up by hiring a BDR for you personally, so that way it takes that time off your plate. And then the next thing that you can now do is then you can go out, you can start head hunting. And if I could recommend anything, is that I would not hire a closer until you've interviewed 15 to 20. I made a mistake and I hired two pretty fast a few months ago. And now it's like, we don't hire anyone until we've done like at least 2 weeks worth of interviewing. And we have a pretty cool system for that and how we do it for free. So
yeah, I will also say too, with that is like, the more you free up your calendar, like I think something we've learned is we had 4 or 5 BCs at closing the same amount of people as we have 2 BCs closing. And I think we just realized that it's not about more necessarily, it's just like getting better at those things, like removing people off the schedule 24 hours before, so you have more time, and then we can place people on that. I can't tell you how many times we removed 6 people from somebody's calendar, 2 signed up and 1 closed that next day. Like that was a normal recurrence for us. And we just realized we can be just as optimal with 2 to 3 as we could with 4 to 5. But like Josh was saying, it's like getting those stats where it actually makes sense. Because when we brought Josh in, like we were already closing at 65%. Like I was doing all the closing at that. Our show rate wasn't great, but we were like, the offer was proof, like we were at a good place where we had momentum going.
Right. So if I understand right, your BDRs are just hourly. Is that how you pay them? And your closers are commission only. Is that right?
Yeah. So closers. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say BCs are 20% commission on the 597, 1497, 15% commission on the done for you. And then BDRs are 15 per hour. Is it 10 per set? They make commission as well.
Yeah, so they make commission, so $15 per hour, and that will get you a good. It's not hard to find a good BDR, especially if you use different hiring funnels that I can share with you guys. But $15 per hour for them, and then they get paid $10 per person they book that actually shows, and then you get $30 per person that books and closes.
Cheat code to hiring good people for less risk is just have good incentives. I think every position we have in our company right now has some type of bonus structure, because across like industry standard, it's hard with an agency to go hire industry standard like rates like that they could go get with corporate, but providing a good bonus structure and then obviously a good culture has served us really, really well.
Do you do any type of initial compensation when they're first getting on your BCs, or is it just strictly the moment they come on, they're a full commission?
Yeah, and actually
hourly a little bit.
I don't, Trevor, do you know this? Maybe you don't. Maybe I didn't tell you this. So I do allocate that they do get paid my BCs, and this is after like they've gone on board and stuff like that. They do make $25 per hour for trainings and meetings. So it's not a lot, because they're not, obviously you don't want your BC on a bunch of trainings and meetings they should have probably about a week of onboarding, just like everything else. Every other position we have is about a week of onboarding. And then after that, they probably per biweekly paycheck, they'll probably average about 11 hours and, between meetings, trainings, admin work and stuff like that, that we do pay out $25 per hour.
All right, appreciate you guys.
Josh just likes to give out money without me knowing.
Impressive. All right. So we're getting about an hour. I'd say we have time for, and we'll conclude here. Oh, Adam, go ahead, buddy.
That's awesome. That's really good. My question is a community. Yeah. So how's that look? And then how beneficial has that been? Just adding the community dynamic.
Straight transparent, not that beneficial. It's been okay. We're really, that's actually kind of a next phase for us, is like to really create a community within our clients. Just to like, I don't know. I think one thing we learned in gym launch is like whenever people were posting stats, we did 50K this month, like it really helped just the morale of the entire company. So we are working on that, but up until now, it hasn't been a huge focus. We basically just have a Facebook group that whenever a client goes in there, our client signs up, we add them to that Facebook group, and then we'll go live 2 times a week, just doing coaching, training, marketing tips, things like that. But now we've started to divide it a little bit into like the done for you versus DIY. So we're getting a lot more structured and like in depth on that side of it. But up until now, we do have like a course. We have a full course on how to structure offers and all that stuff that we developed. So
I'll comment a little. I will opine a little bit on that. My agency, when we first launched this offer, did really well with the community, but you guys see how much I'm in the UpHex Facebook group. That's what it takes. Like rigor, like you got to be in there all the time. You got to be swatting flies as they, come and sit on your delicious meal. It's something that I would say is, when you have people winning, because what's the phrase? You never hear about all the planes that land, right? People are going to come in there and they're going to poop on your delicious thing. Like they're going to that's what they're going to do. But when you have like success stories and things that you can share and all that kind of stuff, and brand ambassadors, and maybe you make some real like legitimate, genuine affiliate arrangements with vendors, with different stuff like this, then you could like do those kind of things. Our group out of the gate was really beneficial. Like we were getting, that's because it was like so new, nobody'd ever heard about it, but a tactic known is a tactic blown. And they really have to band around the champion of the brand, which for me was me at Patient Stream. And I've kind of moved on a little bit from that. And now I'm, doing a similar thing in UpHex. But I think the community is such a labor of love that you have to be saying, hey, that's my role. That's what I'm going to do. Or I'm going to have a person who that's what they do. I don't know if I would recommend doing a community like that until you got really big. I don't know.
Yeah, because that's now we're getting structured on, like, we have somebody that's they're going to be posting in there, Justin, like we just have structure to everything that's going on now. Because you're exactly right. If you don't actually nurture it, it turns into your worst clients saying the worst things, and you just have to decline. It's a mess. They get mad because you mute them, whatever. But until you're ready to like be in there daily, I would hold off.
Adam, you're the man. All right, Ari.
Hey, just a real quick question. So we actually just ended a Facebook campaign that we did for a client of ours.
But the only type of marketing that is expensive is the marketing that does not turn into sales. So, I mean, your lead cost isn't terrible. I don't know, like $20. That's not horrendous. But, a lot of times we blame ads not turning into sales on the wrong place, on the wrong person, right? And so if you give your customer the expectation that a lead is a sale, then you're going to be in for disappointment. Because if you get 100 leads, 3 to 10 of them are going to turn into sales. So the question is, what is the value of a sale? If they were selling, so they spent $1,000. Well, if they made 2,000, then they doubled their money. And all of those leads are now future people in their pipeline that they can sell. Or
Right.
if they had a strategy and they're like, hey, we're going to, this is something I talked about in the live earlier this week. A lot of people, a lot of your businesses, a lot of your customers don't know how to sell. What can you do as an agency to help them? Teach them how to do a trial close. Okay, so for example, med spa, they want to sell, like their core offer they want to sell is $3K. Teach them how to downsell to a $300 package to liquidate the cost of their advertising, build trust, and then sell the core offer. Okay, let me give you an example. If my doctors, if my chiropractors are getting people into an appointment and then they present after like one visit, a $3,000 price tag, for them, because they're not salespeople, they're going to crap themselves. So what I tell them to do is I say, hey, present the $3,000 thing, but then back it up with a trial close, which looks like this. Hey, Mr. Patient, I know that this probably looks like a lot of money right now. So here's what we're going to do. Give me $300 and show them. You pay $300 today. We're going to give you 2 weeks of treatment. In that 2 weeks, you're going to get this, you're going to get that, you're going to get this. And then you will know for yourself that this is going to work for you. At that point in time, then you'll feel more comfortable about spending the rest of it, knowing that you're going to get the outcome. How does that sound? Awesome. Can I get your credit card? So let's go ahead and unshare your screen, please, Ari. But you don't have a marketing problem. You can tighten your ads. You can lower your ad costs. You have a sales problem.
Okay. Right.
Which have you been into Lead Gen U yet, Ari?
Yeah, I have, and honestly, I felt at first, that honestly the cost really wasn't the issue. It was more of pressure.
Hold your ground then. Hold your ground.
It was more of pressure coming from above, and
yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. They're stupid.
Yeah,
they haven't learned the stuff that we're talking about in this meeting. So you hold their feet to the fire and you say, listen, my job is to fill your pipeline with prospects. Do you need help selling them? Because I can consult you on that, but it's going to be extra. That's what we're talking about here. Like marketing, the job of marketing is to advance attention, to move from step A to step B. Now, a lot of us find ourselves in our agencies in a position where we are consulting our customers on how to do basic entrepreneurial things within sales. If you're an entrepreneur, you better know how to sell, or don't be an entrepreneur. It's that simple, right? So now there's baby steps to this. I mean, Trevor, right? Trevor did a 14-day trial. They did their initial price tag wasn't $14.97. It was $9.97. Yep. And then they graduated up. So they changed, right? And right now, Jeremy's doing $5.97. Jeremy, you're going to get more closes if you bump that price up to $14.97. It looks more real. You create more reality in that sale just by bumping the price tag up. Okay. So with a little bit of education and strategy and actual sales strategy, not technique, like Josh and Trevor are juggernauts when it comes to scripting, closing, selling, like finding people's doubts and resolving them. What I'm telling you is this is the first problem that every agency gets. They go through this cycle of, dude, look at all these leads. We're getting leads. Like the excitement of getting leads is legit. But inevitably, when those leads don't instantly and turn into revenue, they're like, oh, this doesn't work. Whoa. No. That's like saying I'll never find a girlfriend or a wife or whatever because my first date didn't turn into marriage, right? There are steps, there are phases. Know them, know the strategy. And when clients express to you concern, reply with confidence because you know what you're doing. They don't. All right. Bierend. Did I nail your name that time? Like a G? I think I did. it. Bierend from Norway. I don't know if that's where you're from.
From the Netherlands. If you want to say it in Dutch, it's Bierend.
Bierden. Oh, see how I nailed it. Bierden.
On Facebook, I'm called Ben because no American can really spell my name.
Ben, that works. He shall henceforth be known as Ben.
So yeah, I just had like a curiosity question. I was just wondering, like, what are your goals for the next 1 to 3 years with your business, Trevor?
Yeah, so our goal is to scale to 3 to 500K a month using this, going into multiple niches. So like we've really doubled down, tripled down on this one niche. And so we want to start exploring what it looks like to go into other niches and then scaling in the same way that we have. But yeah, we want to be 5 to 10 million a year.
Yeah,
That's freaking awesome.
These guys are the real deal. There's no way that we could get all of the questions answered and we kind of bounced around a little bit. First of all, thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Josh, for coming in and being so transparent, sharing what you guys have learned, are learning, are doing. That's the other thing. They're actually doing it. They're doing it, right? Will you guys come back and do it again?
Yeah.
I'm going to hold your feet right now. Actually, hold on. I'm going to close Josh, the closer. Josh.
Josh closes on everything.
Josh, usually by now at this point in the meeting, people fall in one or two buckets. They're like, this has sucked for me. I don't ever want to do this again. Or, hey, I had a good time. Which one of those buckets do you fall into?
So here's the deal. If you're a good closer, you can be closed on anything. That's my belief system. So I'm saying yes, just so that way this person I'm about to call and try and collect $6,000 from here. Yes.
All right. So Josh, that's his way of saying he's in. I appreciate it, Josh. Trevor, you in, buddy?
I'm in. Yeah, you don't gotta close me.
I love it. And that's genuine. Trevor has like reached out to me, just messenger, and like shared stuff, and vice versa. If there's anything I can share, that's awesome. I know that, you've helped other people in the group too. I hear from other people, dude, Trevor hooked me up, helped me out. I'm like,
yeah,
something is going right.
Open invite. If you need
something is going
if you
right.
have questions, feel free to message me. It may take a day or two for me to respond because I'm doing both things. But I'm happy to answer. If your question didn't get answered today, just send me a DM, add me as a friend, and I'm happy to help you out.
Yeah, I love it. If you guys can do me one favor, what's the phrase, or the saying, if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? This is a tree falling in the woods right now. You guys have gotten a crazy amount of value. For it to make any kind of sound, please go in the Facebook group, let people know what you learned. Like, don't just say it was amazing. Throw some thought into it. Let people know what you learned. Thank Josh, thank Trevor, let them know, because crazy opportunities and things can happen when people are willing to share like they have been. So just reciprocity, go show them some love in the Facebook group. And if you're newer, you guys, we have an awesome Facebook group. It's a really stupid name. What's it called? The UpHex official lead gen something. I don't know. We need to change the name, but it's gone. It's too late now. So it's a stupid name, the UpHex official group. Go get in there. If you want to get lead gen it's a great way to learn how to get the fundamentals of this business. And if Josh is putting stuff into like BDRs and all that kind of stuff, that stuff, Josh, I'm going to put that probably in lead gen as well. So it's siloed in one spot. So you guys, thanks for coming. Much love. Trevor, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Josh too.
We'll see you guys.